Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about Season 1 of the new Netflix original, 3%. 3% tells the story of a futuristic society where 97% of the population lives a hard life of poverty and crime, and only 3% are selected to live offshore, where everything is great and everyone is happy. So 3% was actually recommended to me by some of you guys. The show comes to us from Brazil. It's in Portuguese. Netflix does offer an English dub, but trust me, just don't. If you're gonna watch this with the English dub, just don't watch it. I wasn't super excited to get into this show because I thought it was going to be just another dystopian future story where young people have to go through trials and fight oppression. You know, Hunger Games and all the Hunger Games clones. And I mean, if you just read the outline of the story here, that's exactly what it is. So from the outside, this show seemed to me like just another one of those. But it really didn't feel like it. The show definitely has its own voice and does its own thing. It didn't really feel like it was just copying something else. So bear that in mind as I tell you a little bit more about the story here, and it's going to sound exactly like all those other ones. So most of the show is about the process. The process is a series of trials you have to go through when you turn 20, and if you pass those trials, you get to join the 3% and have a better life offshore. The trials themselves are the meat of the show. The trials were pretty interesting. Most of them were more about strategy, teamwork, facing your fears, your mental constitution, your ability to solve puzzles and deal with difficult situations. You don't get a lot of just kill everybody or run faster. It's never quite clear what the people who run the process are actually looking for. They try to explain what's behind some of the tests, but it's kind of hit or miss. The tests themselves were still interesting though. Some of the tests do get pretty dark and people get hurt, but what's cool about it is that it's never the design of the test, it's how the candidates react to it. So as the trials are going on, you also have the personal stories of some of the candidates, their relationships with each other, and some political intrigue with the people who run the process. One of the things that I liked about this show is that the way some of these characters behave felt much closer to what actual people would do than what you usually get on TV shows. Often characters on TV shows make the right choice or some heroic sacrifice in a way that makes you feel that it probably wouldn't have gone down that way in the real world. There are some characters in 3% that make choices that felt real to me, not because they're heroes, but because they're people. I like that. Something else this show does very well is pacing. The show flies by. It's a pretty quick watch at 8 episodes, 40 to 45 minutes each, and it moves fast. It doesn't spend too much time on anything. The story itself is solid. It's not anything groundbreaking. You've seen a lot of it before. You can see most of the twists coming, but I didn't feel like it hurt the show. They do a good job in making you understand the motivations of each character, even if they are a bit obvious about it sometimes. I mean, sometimes in this show, characters just say their motivations. It would have been better to just show us. There were a few scenes where it reminded me of like an anime show where the character just turns to the camera and pretty much just spells out their entire motivation for doing anything. The performances in this show, you know, they were fine. I'm sure some things do get lost in translation when you don't understand the language, but as I saw it, there were really two really good performances by Bianca Comparado and Rodolfo Valente. As for things I didn't like as much or thought were holding the show back, first, the way the show looks. We've been spoiled by super high production values and big American budgets. In that perspective, 3% doesn't look as good as most Netflix shows. Every time they use visual effects, any kind of CG stuff, it just looks kind of bad. They use projectors a lot. They project stuff onto surfaces to make it look all futury, but most of the time it just looks like there's a projector off screen, and sometimes they take it a bit too far, where they would just project some moving lines or something to a wall, and it's a bit, why would that be there? I hate myself for this kind of nitpicking, but it just kind of took me out of the show and the story. Something I'm not sure how I feel about are the sets. It very much looks like just some office building they had access to, and they changed some stuff to give it like a sci-fi look, and it doesn't really work. Having said that, I like the idea of it just being a corporate building, not that different from what it would look like today. If you think about it, why would it look all that different? I don't know. The show does tell a powerful story. Some people see it as a commentary on poor countries versus rich countries. Some people see it as a commentary on the government in Brazil. Some people see it as just a story. I think that even though this show has some shortcomings on visuals, performances, even in the storytelling, there are a lot of worn out tropes in this show. Despite all of that, and maybe even because this show steers away from some American TV standards, there's something raw about this show. And they do a better job, in my opinion, at getting to the heart of these characters than most young people in a dystopian future TV shows or movies. Bottom line, should you watch it? You know what? I think you should. It's different, it tells a good story. I think it's important to be exposed to different kinds of art from different cultures and different places, and this is a really good way of doing that. I know that a lot of American viewers will skip on this show just like they did with Narcos because they're not used to having to read subtitles. And a lot of us international viewers give them shit for it. But actually, I really get it. You watch TV shows for fun, you've watched them a certain way your whole life, and it's weird to do it another way. I have friends in Europe who have always watched dubbed versions of movies, and at this point it's just weird for them to watch it differently. I would, however, like to encourage everyone to watch a few shows that are not in your native language with subtitles. It's a great way to expose yourself to the differences between cultures and people, and it's fascinating. Now that I'm thinking about it, most of the people I'm appealing to here probably tuned out of this video as soon as I said this show was in Portuguese. Maybe I should have opened with this. Oh well. 3% has been renewed for season 2 on Netflix, and I will be watching it. What about you? So I know that actually quite a few of you wonderful binge watchers are from Brazil, and I would be super interested to get your take on the show. Does it mean anything else for you? Is there something that you read into this show that you think that I or anyone outside of Brazil couldn't? And also, do you think that some things got lost in translation for us who watch the show but don't speak the language? So have you watched season 1 of 3%? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below and let's get the discussion going. Just please use spoiler tags on your comments if you're talking about spoilers. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're finding binge watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the binge watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. Subscribe to the channel. It's a lot of fun. You can also click around and find some of the other videos we have on the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you in a dystopian future.